Hare Krishna, everyone. Good morning.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All Guru Shishra Prabhupada. We'll get started with the prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नानाशास्त्रविचारिणैकनिपुणौ सद्धर्मसंस्थापकौ लोकानां हितकारिणौ त्रिभुवने मान्यौ शरण्यकरौ राधाकृष्णपदारविन्दभजना आन्देन मत्तालिकौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ। I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. We'll go to the very first verse today. Before that, we'll have a quick recap of the Upadeshamrita at a glance, and then we'll get into that. We did this covered yesterday. We can still do that. Okay, Upadeshamrita at a glance. So there are six things that have to be avoided, which are unfavorable to bhakti, which is the urges, the very first verse, the second verse as well. These are the unfavorable things that are to be avoided. The next five verses, which are the things that are favorable to bhakti, which is the six virtues, what we have to practice, developing them. And then there are six loving exchanges, and then how to respect devotees, and how to see the devotees beyond their material vision, beyond their material, um, how to see the devotees beyond the material vision. So that's the sixth verse. Then awakening dormant taste for holy names, seventh. And eighth is following the Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, staying in Braja and following a devotee in that mode. 9th, 10th, 11th is Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti, which is to reside in Braja. So it starts at very basic, which is to control the urges. So we'll recite the verse from the book. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva. You want to repeat, all of you? Will that help in Zoom? Or I don't know. Probably not. It might echo error, right? Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva vegam udaropastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira sarvam api man prithvim sashishyat. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So the 6 urges, a sober person regulates the 6 overwhelming urges, unavoidable, unfavorable for the advancement in bhakti. So what are they? Vacho vegam, the urge to speak. Manasa, vegam also, the demands of the mind. Krodha vegam, the impulse of anger. Jivva vegam, the urge of the tongue. Udara vegam, is the urge of the belly. Udaropastha vegam, the agitations of the genitals. And etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira, a sober self-controlled person who can tolerate these 6 urges. Sarvam apiman prithibimsa sisha, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. The recommendation is that these are the principles that we have to follow for developing control on our senses. So these principles are not in essence direct bhakti. Controlling these urges in essence is not bhakti process, because the bhakti process is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Swaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Padasevanam, and Atmanivedan, right? Like 9 processes of devotional service. But these are not in essence of bhakti itself. But these are the steps leading to surrender in the bhakti process. Just like when we enter a temple, we first climb some steps before we enter into the deity room, right? In the temple. The steps in themselves are not devotional activities, but they lead us to the temple. So these steps, these principles are like those steps. They will lead us and directly put under the shelter of the bhakti process. We can easily take the process of bhakti. These are the process of surrender, one of the process of surrender. The process of surrender, as explained by Srila Sanatan Goswami in Hari Bhakti Vilas, is Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati iti vishwaso guptatte varnam tata atmanikshepa karpanne shadvida sharanagati. There are 6 limbs of surrender, starting with Anukulasya sankalpa. Anukulya means that which is favorable to bhakti. Sankalpa is the bhakti here. So anything accepting that is favorable for bhakti. Anukulasya sankalpa. Pratikulyasya varjana, which is rejecting those which are unfavorable for bhakti. So this particular verse falls under the second principle of surrender, which is rejecting those things which are unfavorable for bhakti. Rakshishyati iti vishwaso is Krishna is my protector. Rakshishyati gotapte varanantapa, which is Krishna is my only maintainer, because he has said that Aham Sarvasya is a controller of all the entire universe, spiritual and material. Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. Matta Sarvam Pravattate. Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvita. So he has made that very clear, and he is the one who is protecting Yoga Kshemam as well. So he is our maintainer, he is the only maintainer. And Atmanikshepa, having that humility that I am dependent on him, that I am not independent, I cannot do anything independently, only by his mercy. And then Karpanya is the utter humility. So these are the 6 limbs of surrender. So the second limb is what this particular verse falls under, which is to reject those things which are not favorable for bhakti. So Vacho becomes is urge to speak. And the most important point in this is to tolerate. So how do we control these urges? The urges can be controlled by tolerating, right? So yesterday there was a question, how to do this? The how to do this is in the verse itself. So by doing that, we have to tolerate. Whenever there is an urge to speak, whenever there is urges that are caused by the mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, they need to be tolerated. And such person is eligible to make disciples all over the world. It is not that they are telling whoever has controlled this, has mastered themselves on these urges, they are required to make disciples. No, they are qualified. If they want, they can make disciples. They can speak. They can make disciples all over the world. It's not that if we all become masters of these urges, and then are we required to make disciples? No, we are not required. We become eligible. We develop our eligibility. You want, you can, but it is not mandatory that we have to make. So such person can sit and speak, or share the message. So we are all, if I am speaking here, means I'm probably have not mastered or have not developed complete control on all these urges, but there is always scope for us to keep doing it. At least we are aware of it and we make progress towards that. So that's tolerate. Now Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita 2:14, how to do to control. Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha agama apaino nityas tanti tikshvasva bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O son of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So how to control is to tolerate. So what are the ways to tolerate? When you get some urges, is to ignore. You can not act on that urge, ignore. Not act and invest anything on that, like put our thoughts, thinking, willing, activities to do those. So ignore them, not to act on those urges. Engage on the order of the spiritual master and Krishna. So one way, when we have some urges, we can engage ourselves in the activities that are directly given by the orders of Guru and Krishna. So that is one way to control, tolerate. The other is the negative point about this: if you suppress or repress, they lead to negative emotions. Negative emotions, which could be like passive aggression. If we look passive, we may look humble, but there is so much aggression coming out passively. So that is something as an outcome if you try to repress. Repression, suppression, which cause the negative emotions, and they sit in the heart and they come up in different times, unfavorable situations, or situations when they are not warranted to come out, they come out. So that's why it's not recommended to suppress or repress, but to give them a path so that they can be engaged. So we'll see in the purport what Prabhupada has mentioned as well. So directly going into the Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada starts off very interestingly this particular purport with giving references to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, 9 and 10 verses, where Parikshit Maharaj is posing a question to Sukadeva Goswami. After hearing fifth canto, where all the hellish planets are described, what happens to the people who have committed sins, and all the lower planetary systems are described, he becomes very concerned as a devotee, very compassionate, and he starts to ask this question. So how can we help them? What is the way for these people who have done all these sinful activities, who are gliding down into lower planetary systems? What do we do? How can they be helped? And then Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami, because he has taught him 5 cantos, because he has taught him so far 5 cantos, and he has already given the process of pure devotional service right from the beginning itself, first canto, second canto, he tests Parikshit Maharaj by saying the best way is to do atonement. And the next best way is to develop jnana. That's what he says. Sukadeva Goswami. But Parikshit Maharaj condemns both atonement as well as learning jnana. So by jnana, you can come up with the remove the sinful activities or the sinful tendencies. By karma and jnana, these are not two processes. What he says is, this is just like people commit sinful activities, they recognize that they have done some sinful activity, then they go confess, and then repeat it again altogether. Just like on people go to churches, Prabhupada's purport says people go to churches, they confess to the priest there, and then they come back, they will repent and confess, and then come back and repeat the same. So what's the point of this atonement? And what's the point of atonement when people do these karmakandic rituals to learn something and develop that, continue to do the karmakandic rituals and then engage in the activities of gratification and then come back and do the same. So atonement is that they learn something, there is a mistake that has happened, so they do price chitta, and then after some time, then again the tendency is there to do that same repeat. So that Parikshit Maharaj, because he has learned from a very, very qualified guru, he rejects it even before Sukadeva Goswami says the answer. He rejects, saying that this is just like Kunjara Shauchavat, the last point. Manne Kunjara Shauchavat. Kunjara Shauchavat is elephant bathing. Elephant, after taking a bath in the river, it comes out and puts the mud back on its head. If you notice any elephants, they do that. They take shower in the river and come back and put the mud. So that is Kunjara. It's just like that. So atonement is like that because they come back and do the same thing. So Sukadeva Goswami, because he is a befitting spiritual master, he answers, yes, you are right. And also what happens to the Jnana? Jnana also, people do Jnanakantic rituals, but it is compared to that when a forest fire happens, there are bamboo shoots that get destroyed completely. But over a period, the bamboo shoot still comes up. It is just like that. So even in the forest fire with the Jnana, with the knowledge of the Jnana, some things may be burnt out. But there is no guarantee that these things will not come back in the future. They will. Just like as the bamboo gets burnt completely in the forest, there will be shoots after a year or so. Those shoots will come up again when the water falls, when after sunrise and when everything subsides, then water along with that some sunshine, the shoots will come out. The bamboo trees go again. So that is also not a valid process. The best process, what is Sukadeva Goswami recommending, is awakening our dormant Krishna consciousness, as he says in 614. Is there a verse? And as well as what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andakar, Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. Krishna is just like the sun and Maya is just like darkness. If the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, if Krishna is present in the mind, there is no possibility of the mind being agitated by Maya's influence of sinful activities. So, the best process is to awaken the dormant Krishna consciousness. What he says. And then, Rupa Goswami also recommends the same. This is what Rupa Goswami is recommending. So, the real atonement involves coming to real knowledge. By following a regulated hygiene process, one does not fall sick. Someone is sick, what happens? We have to take the hygienic meals. When the meals are hygiene regulated, sattvic, then the sickness will come out of the sickness. So it's a regulated hygiene process. One does not fall sick, and also continue with that, not to fall sick in the future. So a human being is meant to be trained according to certain principles to revive his original knowledge, described as tapasya. So the better process is to do tapasya, not prayaschitta. Prayaschitta will cause to revert back. Tapasya, austerity, is what is recommended. One can gradually be elevated to the standard of real knowledge of Krishna consciousness by doing these activities as well. It's a gradual process. Krishna has recommended this many times in Bhagavad Gita also. Like you practice practicing austerity and celibacy, brahmacharya, controlling the mind, controlling the senses, by giving charity, by being avowedly truthful, by keeping clean, by practicing yoga asanas. This is a gradual process. But what is the elevator process? Elevator process is, more importantly, by good fortune, associating with a pure devotee by simply following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, refraining from the prohibitions like illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication and gambling, and by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. This easy process is recommendation by Srila Rupa Goswami. This is what Prabhupada has been teaching to us in all his books. So having the association of good devotees, pure devotees, in their association, by following the principles of regulative devotional service, and by restraining from the prohibitive activities, and by engaging the service of the Lord under the direct supervision of a bona fide spiritual master, one can come to that gradual. This is tapasya, and this is the process recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami. So going right into the purports now, what Prabhupada has given: atonement, prayaschitta, and austerity. What is the atonement? What is prayaschitta? We have covered some, but we'll go again. So atonement does not stop sin. The atonement, if you want to do atonement for a sin which it does not stop you from sinning, is useless. Because the thief gets caught, he's put in the jail, he says, I will not repeat it again. He'll come out, he'll complete the jail term, comes out and does the stealing again. So what is the point? Similarly, this person goes to the church every Sunday, confesses, and then comes out and does repeat the same thing for until next 5-6 days and goes back to do the same thing. So this process has been recognized by Parikshit Maharaj in those days itself. This is useless. So he says, I don't recommend this. This is condemnable. So it's just like, and there are different levels of intelligence. The persons learn by seeing others doing mistakes. They learn from themselves doing the mistake. First one is to learn the script from the scriptures. Like scriptures, it is said what is right, what is wrong, prohibitions, and do's and don'ts. So the don'ts are there, which you learn from the scripture and not do them. The next best is to see others doing it. So even if you have not learned from the scripture, but someone is doing and you learn from them. The third is you yourself do and learn it from that experience, not to do. But fourth is the person after seeing and hearing and experiencing also commit the same thing, which is that Kunjara Shauchavat. So atonement without sense control is useless. A sinful act cannot be counteracted by a pious act. They may think that I will do some pious activities, but continue to do the sinful activity. But what happens when you continue to do sinful activity? It gets stored. Just like the cycle of sinful activity, the cycle which you read in the Nectar of Devotion is there is a urge. So these urges lead to those sins. Like why it is being stressed here is the urges lead to the sin. So whenever there is a sin, then it becomes it becomes your aprarabdha. It becomes an aprarabdha karma, because it has already, you have committed a sin and it becomes registered within your consciousness. And then over a period of time, so the sin is committed, then it becomes an impression in your heart, and it becomes like a seed for the next. It becomes kutam. Papam becomes bijam, like a seed. That becomes kutam, that's tendency. And the tendency manifests into prarabdha karma. What we are reaping right now is a prarabdha. But and this is from what we have done previously. Now what we are going to do as a sin in this again becomes aprarabdha. Aprarabdha means it becomes registered in your consciousness, and it will take time. Just like a person steals. By the time he gets caught, there is a time lag. So from the time he steals to the time he has made an impression to keep stealing, because he has stolen once, he knows how to steal, how to scheme for stealing, how to plan for it. He goes and makes those plans again. So between that time lag, then there is investigation. The police gets to him and he gets caught. So that is when, and then again there is a trial before he can be punished. So that much time lag is where it is aprarabdha. It has not manifested again. By the time he becomes, he was put in the jail, that has become his prarabdha karma. But by then he has already developed the tendencies, right? So that is how this papa buddhi keeps happening. And it is just like elephant bathing throws dust. And it is also, and people think that they can commit sinful activities and counteract by doing some extra rounds. For example, devotees might not do, but the holy name, if they do, thinking that I have done a mistake, let me chant few more rounds and counteract it, then that is namno bhalad yasya papa buddhi. It is a seventh offense to the holy name. What is the seventh offense to the holy name? To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. We recite that in the mornings, right? So that's the seventh offense. It's not, it should not be done. Then confession, certain Christians confess their sins every week in church, but they commit those sins again. So the real atonement is austerity. So real atonement, how it comes from the real knowledge, or to awaken one's dormant Krishna consciousness by practicing a methodical life of austerities or tapasya. So traditional tapasya and like elevator kind is traditional is involved in practicing austerity and celibacy, brahmacharya, controlling the mind, controlling the senses, giving charity. Again, whatever we described, cleaning, keeping clean, doing some, becoming very truthful, keeping clean, practicing yogasanas. The prescriptions are associating with pure devotees, engaging in Lord service under the direction of the bona fide guru. Prohibitions are four regulative principles of Krishna consciousness: refraining from illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. So Rupa Goswami's definition of pure bhakti. Anybody knows what's the definition of pure bhakti? Anyabhilashiта shunyam jnana karmadhanavritam anukulena krishnanu bhaktiruttama. Rupa Goswami's definition of uttama bhakti is to reject all that by that is anya abhilashita shunyam, keeping all the other desires. Shunya means to negate and reject. Anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karma adi anavritam. This is devoid of jnana and karma. Anukulasya sankalpam. Sorry, mixing up. Sorry. Anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karma adi anavritam. Krishna Anushilan, following in the footsteps of the teachings of Krishna, that is the Bhakti Uttama. That is the principle of Bhakti, Uttama Bhakti. So, Uttama Bhakti involves cultivating activities of the mind, body, and words that are favorable to please Krishna. Bhagavad Anushilanam, Krishna is teaching them. And rejecting unfavorable things like pursuit of jnana, karma, and other materially motivated. This is the Uttama Bhakti definition. Okay, now coming to the purport itself, the urge to speak. So what are this is the first one, Vachovegam. Vachovegam is to urge to speak, right? So the examples of urges to speak is Gyanis speak about the principles, they talk about the opposing the principles of bhakti. That is where Gyanis do. And karmis talks about the material activities. So I want to enjoy in this way. I want to go for this vacation. Let me earn some money, make some money, save some money, and then go for a vacation. And then repeat the same thing year after year. So that is karmis. That is also urge. We talk about, like, I went to this vacation. It was so beautiful. I did so many pictures and so on. So that's the material enjoyment. And example, prajalpa. Prajalpa is anything that we talk unnecessarily or about some devotee, which is not favorable. It's like croaking of the frog and inviting its own death. Just as the frog croaks and gives its address to the snake. The snake directly comes to that place and eats it. So that prajalpa is like croaking. We fall down from our consciousness, spiritual consciousness, by doing prajalpa. And mundane books. Examples of different ways is pilgrimage for crows. What Narada Muni says to Vyasadeva, it's there in this verse. I read that verse. Nayadvachaschitrapadam hareryasho jagat pavitram pragrinita karhichit tadvayasam tirdam ushananti manasa nayatra hamsa niramanti ushikshayaha. So the mundane books which are devoid of the Krishna conscious topics are like pilgrimage for crows. The people who are like Hamsa, nayatra Hamsa niramanti. Hamsas. Who are Hamsas? The people who are devotees. Devotees are compared to Hamsas. They don't take any interest in these places. Just like the swans, they go to nice places where it is beautiful and very nice place, right? Swans go to that. Whereas crows go to, even though there are nice gardens, flowers, and fruits, but they go to a place where this filth is thrown. So just like that, these mundane books are pilgrimage for crows, as said by Narad Muni to Vyasadeva. Why did he say that? Because after writing entire Vedas, he has become dejected. He was not satisfied. That is because he has encouraged people to do what they are doing, what they've been habituated to do, which is sense gratification. Vyasadeva in his books has recommended that, is authorized it. So people can accept it and continue. Yes, if it's coming from Vyasadeva, let's continue with this sense gratificatory activities. And that's the place for pilgrimage for crows. That's where Narad Muni condemns. And he says, on the other hand, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Pratishlokam Abadyavatyapi Namani Anantasya Yashomikitani Yat Shinvanti Gayanti Grananti Sadavaha. On the other hand, any scripture that you write, even if it is incorrectly composed or sung or glorified, it is worthy of receiving by the devotees who are perfectly pure. So that literature, even if it is have some errors in its composition, it is worthy of taking shelter of. So that's what Narad Muni says. So that's an example of how one should avoid these mundane books and only accept the scriptures. Then people do Mauna Vratas, not doing it for the purpose of increasing their Krishna consciousness, but so that they can have some, develop some powers so that they can enjoy better. So that's the mind that, even though they may be doing that Mauna for some time, but their mind is constantly thinking how they can, by increasing this powers, how they can enjoy better. And then there is a recommendation by Krishna himself in how one should, we'll come to that, but controlling speech. So how to control speech, how to overcome the urge to speak. These are the controlling part. How to overcome is to glorify Lord's name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes. That is how we can control our speech. Reading spiritual books, that words that glorify the Lord's name, fame, form, pastimes, and qualities, as just read 1.5.11, Tadvad Visargo, Janataga Viplava. Then Krishna Seva, words that about Krishna's service are the fruit of tolerating the urge to speak. So these are some of the ways to control the speech. Okay. And Krishna recommends in how to speak controlled speech is Anudvegakaram Vakyam Satyam Priyam Hitam Chayat Swadhyayabhyasanam Chaiva Vanmayam Tapa Uchate, Bhagavad Gita 17:15. The austerity of speech consists in speaking the words that are truthful, pleasing, and beneficial, and are not agitating to others. And is also and also regularly reciting Vedic literatures. So the first is in the order of precedence, right? First is truthful. If you cannot speak always truth, or if you cannot practice the urge to speak always, but at least be truthful in this order, followed by pleasing, and followed by beneficial. So if even sometimes we speak beneficial things. So this is very good for you, Prabhu, Mataji. You cannot do this. The tone as well as the words that are used are so harsh. Even though the message is good, maybe beneficial, but they're not pleasing. They're not accepted in that way, right? So the word should be truthful. Of course, they should be truth. You cannot speak false, which is again a sin directly. So we should speak truthful words, definitely pleasing. You have to make it coin with some sweetness, those words. Otherwise, even though they are beneficial, nobody will accept. The words that you're telling may be beneficial, but nobody will accept if they are not tinged with pleasing sweetness, as well as they are not truthful. And they are not agitating, because as soon as you say something, even though beneficial, their mind becomes agitated. They immediately revert back saying that they'll give some counter, even though this is a beneficial word. So what is the point, right? So Krishna's recommendation is the controlled speech. Okay. Now, question for all of you. Is there a time in devotee's life that they are not able to follow controlled speech? What should be done in that case? Any recommendations?
Keep silent, Mataji.
Very good. That's best. Actually, that's best. Best is to not say anything. Yes, that's first number one recommendation. If you have nothing to say, or you have some things to say, it can be taken in a negative way. It's best to not say only. What else?
Krishna Mataji, maybe you can walk away from the situation. So if you know that you can't control your tongue, get an exit. So that way you don't say things.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
Chant and ask the help for Krishna to give his strength to not to speak.
Yeah. So we become introspective. That means we are not reacting. But the point here is, we have already said, we have already uttered some vachovegams here. It's already, we haven't controlled the vegam of our tongue. So we have done it. We have done the damage.
Humbly just bow down and similarly like Devi Mataji said, bow down and just walk away.
Because you already done the damage, what you can do
Yeah.
is, see,
If you've already,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, if we've already done the damage, so it's already come out of our mouth, obviously. If that happens, I would do my best to try and serve that devotee, offer my humble apologies to that devotee, and then maybe, like, if I felt that I couldn't continue to do that, is to walk away going forward. But you definitely want to, I would think I would want to apologize. I would want to excuse my tongue, and then pray to Krishna for the for help to control my tongue, because I don't want to hurt somebody, you know.
Right. Is there any verse in Bhagavad Gita? We all have read Bhagavad Gita. 9th chapter. Able to find? Whatever you do, yat karoshi yad yashnasi yad juhoshi tadasi yat tapasyasya kaunteya tat kurusva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So whatever you do is, you have done something which is not favorable, right? Then that can be offered to the Lord as well. So this is some of the points that we can remember. Some damage has occurred. So what we can do, we can apologize. First of all, not to say anything. But if it has been done, then you ask them forgiveness sincerely, or you move away from them or go away from the situation. If you have urge to speak and cannot speak, and not, we know that it won't be taken nicely, then you move away. But since it is done, then you can offer that to the Lord at the end of the day by some prayer, because Krishna has said that yad karoshi yad ashnashi yad juhoshi tadasi. Yes, Mataji, you have something?
Well, same thing that you were just saying, is like offering it to the prayer, offering it to Krishna, and trying to, one, not do it again, but also offer the apology to, and so that that person may forgive you, hopefully. But I wanted to, I did not read through the Gita yet, because I'm one of those new people. So I just was wondering what that, the Bhagavad Gita, the quote you just read.
It's 9:27.
Oh,
Okay,
to
thank you very
9:27.
much. Thank you, Mataji.
No worries. Yeah. Okay. Questions will come back. Let's complete the topics, so that will help us to keep on the track. So yeah, moving on, the urge to urge of the mind, attachment, and anger. So next is, so that was about the urge to speak, and we have some recommendations. Now the urges of the mind, which is attachment and anger. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the attachment of the mind, manasa and krodha, vegam. This is that. So manasa vegam is avirodha priti, unrestrained attachment, which is hankering, deep hankering for things. It is avirodha priti yukta, which is, avirodha priti, which is unrestrained attachment. Virodha yukta krodha, that anger, which is manasa vegam and krodha vegam, right? The krodha vegam is the anger because you have unfulfilled desires. Virodha yukta krodha, anger due to frustration. So this is, and mind has that tendency to have lust stored in it, anger, greed, illusion, intoxication, envy. These are the causes that arise from the mind, undesirable things. And the mind's agitations are twofold. How can that be? What is avirodha priti? It's attachment. Mind's attachments are, and restlessness are seen in Jnani's adherence to Mayavada philosophy. That is what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying. The Mayavada philosophy, which is, they are very attached to their philosophy of impersonalism and voidism. So the Jnani's adherence to that Mayavada philosophy. Karmis believe in furtive activities. They very strongly believe that I will do this yajna, I will come out and do this yajna, do this ritual and get some benefit. So that's the attachment that they have. And materialists believe in plans based on material desires. They have deep material desires, so they make that. So negating all material thoughts and creating a vacuum in the mind is artificial. So we cannot do that, continuously say. So they say that as soon as a desire comes, just reject it. We don't do that, right? So we give them, we dovetail our urges of the mind and our senses. That's called mind control is possible by thinking of Krishna and his service. So we dovetail. So whenever negative things come in our mind, we dovetail by thinking of Krishna Katha. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Adhikara. Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi, Maya Adhikar. So Madhya Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22:31. When mind is controlled, the urges of the eyes, ears, and all other senses become pacified. So the starting point is mind. If we can control the mind, everything else will become, because mind is, all other senses follow the mind. Right? Just like this analogy of the charioteer driving on a cart with horses. So what is the analogy here? The charioteer is the soul, or the passenger. Passenger is the soul. The charioteer who has the reins is the mind. Is your intelligence. The one who's holding the reins, who's navigating, is your intelligence. The reins is your mind, and your senses are the horses. That's the analogy. So if you can control the mind, which is the mind, the charioteer, the one who's holding the reins, the mind should be, with your intelligence, control the mind. The one who's riding the cart should control the reins so that they don't go here and there. So if you leave one rein like this particular horse will go like in the other direction, right? Seeking for something to eat, see, smell, touch, the five senses. So that is how. And what happens to the soul sitting? He is lost. So with your intelligence, the mind has to be controlled so that the senses, the mind has to navigate properly. Those senses are controlled. That's the analogy that we see from Bhagavad Gita itself. Okay, so that is where the mind can be controlled by engaging in Krishna service. And what else is that comes out of the mind? The other thing is the Virodha Yukta Krodha, anger. Because some things don't get fulfilled, what we are desiring, we have deep attachments on something and they are not fulfilled. So we get angry. So that's out of frustration. Anger is caused by frustration of material desires. When plans and desires are not fulfilled, in anger one uses harsh words. So controlling anger. Anger cannot be stopped but can be used in Krishna service by applying it against those who blaspheme the Lord and his devotees. So there is a way to use anger also. the urge to speak, we have to use the controlled speech. The urge of anger is what? Anger is used in Krishna service. There is also place for anger in the spiritual world. How? We have examples. One can tolerate, so with examples, Lord Chaitanya becoming angry on Jagai and Madai because they have caused harm to his pure devotee, Nityananda Prabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows anger by invoking his Darshan Chakra on Jagai and Madai. And he was urged not to do that because his role is not to kill the demons, but to give them mercy. So, but Lord Chaitanya has employed anger. This is to show example that if the devotees are insulted or harmed, one cannot be passive. One should show anger. Similarly, Hanuman set fire to Lanka because there is some harm caused to Lord Ram and Sita. So because of that, he has used his anger to set fire to Lanka. And Arjuna prepared himself to fight in the Kurukshetra war. The entire Bhagavad Gita was spoken so that Arjuna can come to get some anger in him. And he again picks up his bow and arrows. Entire Bhagavad Gita was spoken for Arjuna to arouse anger in him. So anger is important. It has its place, but not everywhere. We cannot lose it. It's very important that we keep to it and use it only when it is required. So that is where Lord Chaitanya's, Hanuman's and Arjuna's examples come in. It's a controlled anger. We need to use it in the service of the Lord whenever there are devotees or Krishna himself is being blasphemed, or not otherwise. If some personal insults are meted to us, if we are given some insults and not treated well, we don't show anger. That's the devotee's humility. We take all those personal inconveniences, yet if something is not done to the devotees and blasphemy of the devotees or devotees are put in trouble, we don't spare to show our anger. So that's how the urge of the mind has to be used. Attachment should be used in the service of the Lord by thinking how to plan for Krishna's service, how to execute his service is the mind control. And how to use the anger is to use only in protecting and safeguarding the devotees and Krishna's activities. Okay, we'll move. Then the urge of the body. The urge of the body, there are three, which is tongue, belly, and genitals. Starting with the tongue. So the bodily urges are three. Demands of the tongue, belly, and genitals. These are physically. So the first one was the words. The second one was the mind. The third category is with the body. The body has the tongue, belly, and genitals. They fall in the same line. Tongue to belly to genitals. They are in the same line. So Lord Chaitanya's caution, one who runs here and there to gratify the senses, tongue, belly, and genitals cannot attain Krishna. Jivera Lala say 6-3 Canto Adi Madhya Adi something Antya 6-2-7. So what is the urge of the tongue? Jibba Begam, what is it? So Jibba Begam is to eat palatable dishes. Cook only so that we can eat palatable dishes. That is, and going here, this place, that place. Oh, they serve this particular dish very nicely. That place serves that particular dish nicely. That is the Jibba Vega. Going and eating in restaurants and tasting different kinds of food. That is Jibba Vega. So, and also the foods that to be avoided is too bitter, too sweet, pungent, astringent. Of course, dead bodies like meat, fish, eggs. Intoxicants like pan, betel nuts, liquor, spices, too chili, too tamarind, onion, garlic. Too chili and too tamarind, why? What is wrong with them? They actually arouse passion in the body. Because when you eat something which is too chili and too tamarind, what happens to the tongue? It becomes very sensitive, right? Like it becomes very affected, the tongue, the first thing. So that means when you can imagine the tongue is such a voracious thing, if you continue to arouse it or sensitize it so much, then the all other will go for a toss. The other sense organs like belly and genitals go for a toss. So that's why these too many Two things are not recommended. Too chili, too tamarind, too spicy, too oily. These are not recommended. So what to be done? Or eat when to be done is eating only Krishna Prasada. Control of the tongue by eating only Krishna Prasada. So what is a prayer that we do at the before we honor Prasadam? Anybody wants to recite? I'm sure you all know.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah?
महाप्रसादे गोविन्दे नमो ब्राह्मणे वैष्णवे स्वल्पपुण्यं वदाराजं विश्वसने वजायते शरीर अविद्या जल जरिंदिया ताहे कल जीवे फेले विशेष सागरे तार मध्य जीवावती लोभमय सुदुर्मति ताके जटिन कठिन संसारे कृष्ण बड़ दयामय करी बरे जीवा जय स्वप्रसादन ढिलो भए से अन्नमृत पाव श्री राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेमे डाको श्री चैतन्य निताय जय निमाय जय निताय जय निताय जय निमाय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Thank you, Mataji. So, O Lord, this material body is a lump of ignorance, and the senses are a network of paths leading to death. Somehow or other, we have fallen to the ocean of material sense enjoyment. And all of the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and uncontrollable. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world. But you, dear Krishna, are very kind to us. You have sent this nice prasadam to help us conquer the tongue. Therefore, let us take this prasadam to our full satisfaction and glorify your Lordship, Shri Radha and Krishna, and allow call for the help of Lord Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda. So this is how we control our urge to eat. We with the tongue. So we engage in eating only Krishna Prasadam and tasty. But again, the tasty food offered to the deity with an intention to eat night's food also not good. We cook elaborate, nice meals, which is we do on the festivals and other occasions. But constantly doing that so that we can eat so lavish prasadam is also not good. And also not Prabhupada during that time, because he was spreading this Krishna consciousness movement. All his brahmacharis were used to get invited to various home programs and fed sumptuously. So Prabhupada is making a point, don't accept invitation from rich people to eat palatable food. So this is, at that time, it was most relevant. That's why he's put. Another way to control the tongue is to observe fasting days like Ekadashi. Today is Ekadashi, so we can control our tongue. And Vaishnava Tithis. Vaishnava Tithis, Janmashtami, Ramanavami, Gaur Purnima, Narsimha Chaturdashi. So these are all the Vaishnava Tithis. So we can observe fasting, and also Acharya's appearance days, half a day fast that we observe. So that's how we can control our tongue. And foods should be eaten which are beneficial to the body in moderation and pure, which are pure. So Krishna gives recommendation how the food should be cooked, not more than 3 hours. It should be stored in, but Prabhupada's recommendation on the top of it, if it is prasadam, it can retain and we can finish prasadam. We cannot also throw prasadam from Bhagavad Gita. So we have to save it, I mean, finish it as much as possible. But if we are not able to, we can consume it later as well. That is Prabhupada's recommendation. Even though Krishna says the food has to be eaten within the 3 hours of its cooked. And the food that we eat should be beneficial to the body in moderation. Okay. Now, coming to the agitation of the belly. So it is all together, but let me say some points on the belly. Belly is when we become glutton, like we fill our stomachs so much that we are not able to, and then we take pills to digest that food. So that's not recommended. So tongue is when we eat palatable dishes, go to this place, eat only so much, but eat lot of the tasty varieties. That's tongue's urge. Belly is like fill it with lot of food every few hours. Fill it with lot of food, whatever you find. So that, and with that, the belly itself becomes big, and the actual recommendation of how to eat food or how to fill the belly is 50% with food, 50% with water, and 50% with air, so that it circulates and digests. and it has to be regulated. Not eating every 2 hours, munching something. So that's where belly urges is. Belly, it wants food. Tongue might not. Sometimes we become so we don't want to eat, but the tongue demands, the belly demands, because there is that because we have given it so much training by eating, giving it lot of food, it can't take small portion. It needs so big portion, and only then it will be satisfied. Otherwise, even though the body may have gotten all the required nourishment, but the belly won't be satisfied. It needs a lot. So that's because we have trained it so much. It can expand so much that it can take a lot of food. So better is to eat in moderation for that purpose. Coming to the other point, which is genitals, agitation and control of the genitals. The urges of the genitals or sex impulse can be legal or illicit. The urges of the legal is marriage according to Shastra for begetting Krishna conscious children. So the best way is to legalize the urges of sex impulses by entering into the marriage and having and use that particular impulse to produce or beget Krishna conscious children. Illicit is sex not sanctioned by scriptures, including thinking, planning, talking about matters related to sex as well. Anything that matters, not just indulging in it, but thinking about it, planning, and talking about it is also not recommended. That is illicit. And controlling the sex impulse is possible when not used unnecessarily, but only to beget Krishna conscious children, and the children must be trained in Krishna's bhakti. So that is how the sex impulse can be engaged. Renunciates should not listen or talk to any worldly subject matters and should not think of women. Example, Lord Chaitanya's strictness with Chota Haridas. Lord Krishna became at one point, just to show a certain example of how the sannyasis should not indulge or deal with anything to do with women. He has punished Chota Haridas. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, this story comes. Renunciation, because he's a renunciate, and if he indulges in things that are not recommended for renunciates, and if he lets it go, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it becomes a precedence. So in order to set the right precedence, he has punished Chota Haridas. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will see how he has done that. Very strictly, he has dealt with him. So recommendation of Krishna in 523. Let's go to what Krishna says in 523. Yeah. In 523, Krishna says how these genitals should, because sometimes it's not completely possible to do, give up on sex indulgence. Well, there are some categories in the society that do, which is brahmacharis and renunciates. But for all the others, grihasthas, it is legalized through marriage. But what Krishna finally says in Bhagavad Gita is, before 523, before giving up the present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So at least before we give up the body, if we are able to control, have the tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger before we give up the body. If not, throughout the life. So that's a grace that we have from Krishna. Even if we are not able to do it immediately, just before leaving the body, if we can do that, that will, he's saying you are good. Because there is different ashramas, right? Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. At least, even if we are not able to do during our Grihastha life, we can eventually slowly give it up. That is the best. That's the urge of the tongue. So in conclusion, the 6 urges present various types of obstacles in the immature stages of a sadhana, spiritual life, sadhakas actually. One can dispel them by excessive sharanagati, by avoiding the 10 offenses of Harinam and doing Shravana Kirtan in the association of sadhus. So how these 6 urges can be overcome? Because they are very detrimental to a sadhaka in the initial, because you remember this, Krishna says, this, Prabhupada said this book is for the neophytes. Neophytes, we're just starting, and then if you indulge in these urges, then it is going to Hati Mata. Hati Mata, anybody knows that particular phrase? It is like mad elephant entering into a garden. Whenever an elephant becomes mad and it enters into the garden, it uproots every plant that it sees on its way, and it stamples and uproots. So that is how dangerous this our bhakti becomes when we indulge in these six urges. Because if we overeat or overindulge in anything, we don't control our anger and mind's urges, and our urge to speak unnecessarily, we cannot control, then it is detrimental to our bhakti, sadhaka's bhakti process. And just like a small plant, we are sowing a small plant and we're watering through the process of bhakti, process of chanting, hearing, and remembering in the association of devotees. Now, imagine if they have elephant comes and what happens to the small, it gets uprooted. So these urges are in one way like that. They can uproot our bhakti process right from the roots itself. Then we should avoid the offenses to the holy name and do Shravana and Kirtana in the association of the devotees. Master of the senses, Goswami, one should become a Goswami by controlling the overwhelming passion of speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals. So Goswami is one who controls this, not Godasa. The servant of the senses is Godasa. How can Krishna ever manifest to a person who is Godasa? Servant of the senses or Adanta, we'll read that verse, last verse. A servant of Krishna follows in the footsteps of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. So our mood is to follow in the footsteps of six Goswamis. That's why we went through that elaborately in the first session. How six Goswamis following in their footsteps is so important for us, because they are directly preaching under the direct supervision of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have to follow these six Goswamis. And finally, that verse from Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, Text 30. How can Krishna, so servant of the senses, Shri Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirna Krishne Parata Svatova, Mito Vibhadyate Grhavatanam, Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram, Punascharvitam Charvananam. For those who have decided to continue their existence in this material world for the gratification of their senses, there is no chance of becoming Krishna conscious, not by personal endeavor, by instruction from others, or by joint conferences. They are dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they madly engage in what is called chewing the chew. So, one who want to become a Goswami, we have to control the six urges. One who has decided he want to become a Godasa, who can stop him? Nobody can stop. That is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. If you want to become a Godasa, go for it, no problem. What he that is this verse, what we just read, Adanta Gobir. Matirna Krishna Parata Svatova. What happens to that? You can, if they have decided to live in this material existence, you can continue to do that and engage in these things. So nothing can stop you from that. And it is nothing but chewing the chew, because it's what it is already been chewed. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, what you chew, just like these camels, they chew and they save it in their mouth somewhere, and they sit down and bring that back from their throats and keep chewing it. That is called chewing the chew. The animals do that very, very much. So that is nothing but like what has been already experienced it in the world, in the material life so many times, of going through this senses and enjoying the senses. It has been done once. Again, you want to do the same thing by taking another birth, by becoming Godasa. It's a repetition, it's continuous, it's the same thing. It's nothing but chewing the chew. That is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. So if you want to become Godasa, you can continue that. But if you want to become Goswami, you need to control this overwhelming urges. And then finally, summarizing everything in this place, six urges which are unfavorable are six urges in three categories: Vacho Vegam, Manasa Vegam, and Krodha Vegam. And the body is with the urges to be controlled and vacho and mundane talks and books. Avirodha priti or unrestrained attachment of the mind. Virodha yukta of the anger in frustration. For the body, it is urge of the jiva, udara and upastha. Jiva is the tongue, udara is the belly, upastha is the genitals. Jiva vegam can be controlled by Jiva vegam or the urge to speak, eat more. Udara vegam is the demands of the belly. Upastha is the agitation of the genitals. How they can be controlled? Process of controlling is speaking Krishna Katha. Vacho vegam can be speaking Krishna Katha. Then attachment to unrestrained senses by thinking of Krishna. And Virodha Yukta is to use the anger against offenders or of Lord and devotees. Jiva can be controlled by eating only Krishna Prasad. Udara is by observing fasting. Upastha is to beget Krishna conscious children. There are different ways to explain these verses. I tried my best I have so many teachers who has given me this knowledge starting from Srila Prabhupada and my spiritual master. So I just like to conclude by saying that whatever I've understood and whatever I've realized, I'm able to reproduce, which is Yatoditam yatamatihi. That is what I can say. And if there are any questions, we can take it up right now. Sorry, I had to cut some questions in between. That is because we wanted to keep to the schedule of continuing with the passage and the narration, and then have the question and answer session at the end.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for giving the time to ask. Actually, the question was, if somebody uttered a word to a person and that person got hurt and there is no way that the other side is not ready to accept the excuse which is explained to the person who uttered the words in anger, what's the situation? Like how to go about it and make that person pacify?
Yeah, so one thing is, if it is genuine, if it is coming from our genuine place, when we ask for forgiveness, if it is genuine, and if the other person sees it's coming from a place of sincere place and with so much of genuinity in it, then they will accept it. If you think, if they perceive a small, even they perceive a little bit that it is just because you have to say again passive aggression. Oh, I'm so sorry. You see, right? You said something, they took it offense, but you know you have made a mistake. Then you'll immediately correct it by saying, okay, fine, I'm so sorry. Is it even any genuinity in that tone?
No.
That's passive aggression. So if you really feel it, take time and come back and then express it. When it comes from that heartfelt words, even small words, not great words also, if it comes from the right place, then they will accept it. If not, then you have done your duty. If they don't even accept that, you have done your duty, you are clean, your mind has become peaceful, and they might take time, it's up to them, but then you have become peaceful. So that's good, as long as you become peaceful, and you can again apologize to the Lord as well.
Thank you.
It's your side, you're clean. Hope that helps.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Pal.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I think Prabhu already asked my question, but now I have a follow-up on that. So, isn't it about we caused some discomfort in someone else's life by saying something, although we are apologizing, but aren't we responsible to make them also feel peaceful?
Yeah, so that's what we will apologize sincerely so that they become pacified.
But if they're not,
If they are not, then did you make your attempt sincerely? Tried it?
I did, but I think you mentioned that if we have done a sincere effort, it should help us feel peaceful. But what I'm thinking is that my apology can be as sincere as possible, but if the other person is not okay with it, I would want to talk to them, right? So that they are also peaceful. So I think the question here is, how much effort do we need to put into it, right? Is apologizing enough, apologizing to Krishna enough? And then you leave it to Krishna and that person, that you take your time, right, to process it. And then we come back, or you make constant effort.
So depends on the damage that has caused. For a damage that I mean, by your intelligence, you can say how much damage it has caused. If it's caused real damage, then that much of time has to go in apologizing. Because that much of time has to be spent. If the other person is not ready, then you have to spend that much time, depending on the damage. If it is not, and still they are adamant and they don't want to take your apology, then you leave it up to Krishna at that time. Then we also have read this verse, right? 9:27, Yat karoshi dasnashi. So since all our activities can be offered to the Lord, even if they are done in mistake or in jest. If it is been done in a mistake, then also we offer those words to the Lord at the end of the day. It's very important. As a practitioners of sadhana bhakti, we have to cultivate this principle that we don't cause harm to others but in the process, if we have done something by mistake, unknowingly or unknowingly, what do? We ask for forgiveness. And if these people, we don't know who we have caused harm to, sometimes we don't even know who we have caused harm. So that time, then what can we do? We know we might have done something in the day, so we do that offering to the Lord. There are many prayers that are in the Shastra that help us to offer our words, body, mind, kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakriti svabhavad karomi yajat sakalam parasmai narayanayati samarpayam. So by the words, body and mind, we would have done some mistakes. Lord, I'm offering them to you. So you please purify it. You please make it. I'm offering my entire. So that is another way. As a sadhaka, we have to practice it.
Thank you, Mataji. Kanika, yesterday you had a question.
Mataji, yeah, it got answered in your class. Not a question anymore. It was just about speech and tongue, so we had an elaborate discussion on that, so I'm cleared there.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Anybody?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, actually, there is two things you said today's class. Goswami and there is one another go something.
Dasa.
Go dasa. So go means it's cow, right?
Senses. Also senses.
Oh,
Go
okay.
means cow. Go means also senses. Go is also earth, Mother Earth. So go is senses also. It's there in the purports. Prabhupada's purport, if you read in the beginning itself. Or in yesterday's preface, I think. Where did we read that?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. Yeah, in the purport. Sorry, in the preface. Go means
Preface.
senses.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, Krishna Mataji, it's not a question about today's class, but the curriculum. Could I also ask you if you can give us the dates of when the OBA and CBA is and when the Shloka test is? Because normally you give it to us in advance and that helps us prepare.
So I am in discussion with Halabini Gopika on the dates. Like I said, we have 3 holidays for Ishopanishad, August 16th, 17th, and 31st. Other than that, we are doing 1 verse per session. So that way, we will complete the entire Nectar of Instruction by 24th Sunday. 30th August is when we'll start Ishopanishad. Very next day we'll break. I'm going to give you, but I'm finalizing some dates on. You know about what verses you have to memorize, right?
No, we haven't been given that either. I haven't seen that. Has everyone else seen it?
Handbook has the details, right? No?
No, because Haladini Gopika Mataji used to give separate, or go ahead, Mataji, maybe. It is in the handbook.
It's there, yeah, and she puts it into a Word document and shares usually.
Yes, usually she does. So they were trying to finalize some dates on the OBA. And the CBA date is last day, week after of the completion of Ishopanishad. I'm just giving you before it comes out because these are set. Only OBA is where you're having some discussion. That's where it is taking time. Okay.
What was it? You said the 16th, 17th, and 31st were holidays, and then you said the last day was what? I apologize, Mataji.
The entire course of Nectar of Instruction and Ishopanishad will be finished on 12th October. Exam will be 19th, Sunday. Between 18 and 19, there will be exam, okay? That's the exam. The CBA,
And then,
yes.
somebody had said they saw the verses to memorize in the handbook. Do you know what pages those were?
I don't know. We have to check.
Oh, okay.
I can send
Oh,
them in the chat or
Yeah.
in the
okay.
group. ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Memorization verses. We have first 4, I think, from this Nectar of Instruction. Vachovegam. The second verse, Atyahara. The third verse and the fourth verse are all 4 are memorization verses. So go ahead and start memorizing them. The date for slokas. There will be 1 day for the slokas only, it seems, not 2 days. But the dates are September sometime, 20 or 21st.
With both books, Mataji, together?
I guess so. Because not every verse in the Isho are also memorizable. Very first, for sure, second is there. If I remember. First and second are memorization verses in the Isho.
So I'm sorry, Mataji, I apologize. I'm just going to just say the Nectar of Instruction and the Sri Upanishads kind of are together because the book is small.
This
Okay.
module 5 is together, these 2 books.
Okay,
That's why I'm
perfect.
saying them together. The first
Okay.
4 verses and the Isho has 1 and 2 for sure. There might be others which I don't know. So yeah, Bala Mataji has pasted memorization verses. So go ahead and start practicing them. It will be only 1 day, it seems, that much is sure.
Thank you, Mata. And the OBA, is it going to be both books together or we have to do 2 separate OBAs?
Yeah, so that's where we are having some discussion dates.
Okay.
So it will be mostly both books together and 1 date. It will be preferably before CBA is what she's recommending. So finalizing. So you have all the dates now. So September 2021 is the sloka. Because by then you will have covered all the 2 mantras as well as 4 verses we are covering now. OBA is only question, which will you definitely before CBA. CBA is on 18, 19. Either 18 or 19. Mostly 19.
What is
October.
CBA? I don't know what CBA is.
Closed book assessment.
Okay.
A test. It is the test. Closed book assessment.
And then OBA is open book
Open
assessment.
book assessment.
Okay.
Because you write your essays based on the question.
Sorry.
No
Yes,
worries.
thank
Yeah,
you.
you're attending for the first time. That's okay.
Mataji, when did you say the CBA and OBA? What are the dates?
CBA is last month is October, right? 18, 19. CBA is 18, 19. October.
October, okay.
OBA will be much earlier than that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Is it going to be handwritten CBA, Mataji?
Last time, what did you do?
We did computer. With yourself, we did handwritten with photos, but with Lalitangi Mataji, both times we used computer.
I have is CBA with handwritten was okay for you guys?
Yeah. Whichever everyone majority vote.
I think CBA with handwritten is good. If that's okay. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. We'll meet next Saturday. And next Sunday, also we will go to the same. I will try to finish 2 verses next week.
Mataji, like how we did last time, the shloka test will be only one time, or we can separate it into
Because
into
there are
two.
only 6 verses, right? In 2 books.
Okay, okay.
She is saying there is only one session
Yes,
because
yes,
of the
Mataji.
small portion.
So four of the verses are in Nectar of Instruction. Yeah.
Yeah, and 2 from
Okay.
first and the second mantras. The first is invocation, second is the first mantra. Those are the memorizable. That's it in Ishopanishad. So you can
Thank you for
yeah.
your patience with me. I appreciate
No,
that.
okay. So that's all is so you can practice them whenever you have time.
Mhm.
Thank you. We'll meet next Saturday. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. The Koti Vaishnavi ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.